Brian Craig here. I am on the road in studio with Eddie Kolos. He's the CEO and inventor as well as formulator of H2 Oceans. Good to meet you, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You know, I'm really excited about what you offer. I grew up in Florida. We're surrounded by water. We have this incredible ecosystem of everything. We've got ocean, we've got wildlife, we've got the Everglades, we've got everything. And you've actually taken what we're surrounded by, the ocean, and you've turned it into these miraculous healing products.
I had this idea when working for a sun care company that why wouldn't anybody bottle the ocean? And it was a thought process through somebody that I worked with too as well, just sitting at the beach. And it was easy for me to actually do because I had marine biology as a background and my hobbies were in saltwater aquariums. So I knew water and I knew the balance of the water had to be right for, the coral reefs to grow, the fish to be healthy. So here I am taking care of the ocean environment and acting as like a fish doctor, or
absolutely.
a coral reef doctor. And since we are all bodies of ocean, walking around, 70% of our water in our bodies is salt water.
Yeah.
I felt like there was definitely a need for it to be used in the healthcare industry and the wealth of our immune system. Building our immune system is all about making sure there's a balance of minerals that are in our bodies so that they can function as electricity and cell function, brain function. They all need these special minerals that the ocean gives us.
Absolutely. And, I've always been my entire life a big user, supporter, and been very interested in any type of alternative health because everything comes from nature. You use sea salt, and I've heard about sea salt my whole life. What's the difference if I went to the store and just picked some sea salt off the shelf as opposed to what H2 Ocean is offering?
Well, not all sea salt is the same. That's the problem that consumers realize that, they're going to go up and buy sea salt, but is it really coming from the sea? There is some
Really?
brands out there that are using the name sea salt because it's like a marketing thing that's going on in the grocery stores, but where is it actually coming from? And I researched the world's best source of sea salt, and we use sea salt from the Red Sea.
Really?
The Red Sea is like the heart of this ocean earth, the living blue that we want to protect.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by, places that you might not want to go to. You got Saudi Arabia, you got Egypt, you got a little bit of Israel there, Jordan. It's surrounded by deserts, so it's not like a contaminated ocean, but it's got the deepest coral reefs. And divers know this is like one of the best dive spots. So there is some delicate corals. There's all kinds of fish life that are like perfectly specimens. Everything that when you go into the aquarium stores to buy a saltwater fish is so healthy and vibrant. So we started using that type of salt and we found that that is the best salt. And so I really got into it by reading all about the Red Sea and what mineral content is. It's got 82 trace elements and minerals. It's one of our saltiest bodies of ocean in the world. So there's 4% salt coming out of that ocean. Nowhere else in the ocean is mixed that salty.
Wow.
So there got to be something that the earth is providing the salt there, which then goes into the ocean currents. And then it just gets depleted. And then it gets polluted by people and by these all chemical companies that are polluting our oceans too as well.
Sure. Before we started, I was sitting here and I was looking through this book, The Science of Sea Salt, Benefits of Human Health. And you told me you actually wrote this book and it's a textbook.
Yes. Me and the co-author, Dr. Rajiv, who is a Harvard graduate, we went through during COVID time and we had some time off that we thought maybe we need to publish the benefits of sea salt because nobody else knows sea salt better than me. And then we actually reached out to about 75 professors from around the world that had just wrote a chapter on just any kind of benefits of sea salt that they could think about. And this book here, 500 pages, is got everything that brings you in through the health of the body, the health of the ocean, how sea salt is produced, how it's extracted, what are main minerals that are in sea salt that benefit the health of our bodies, and also some stories of people that used our sea salt based products from, helping them get through cancer or diabetes. So this book is very valuable to have. Hopefully it's being taught in some of the colleges.
Yeah, or medical schools.
Yeah, medical schools too as well. But it's available on thescienceofseasalt.com.
Well, what the book does, it shows how much science are in the H2 Ocean products.
Absolutely. And not only that, the clinical studies that we have that are listed on our website, we're already published in about 8 peer-reviewed clinical journals, more coming out as well. As we go into all these conventions, I'm always meeting some of the top doctors on cancer research and just trying to help. So more research is coming out. We plan on writing a second book too as well on all that discovery.
Yeah.
But this book is very valuable, and I read it so many times. I had to go through many of the professors that wrote to us and edit out those little areas, but they all came to one thing. They all talked about how 70% of this earth is ocean water. Our bodies are also 70% salt water. And the red sea salt kept on coming up about how important the red sea salt is in all the oceans in the world too as well. So it was really a great, not discovery for me, but just even for Dr. Rajiv and some of the other people to see that all of it actually is true, how important sea salt is for human health.
One of the things that's been so hard for me to get my mind around as I grow older, here we are, we're in the 21st century, quarter of the way through it and then some. We have all these advancements in medical technology, all these medications, these drugs, these pharmaceuticals, but people seem sicker. Why is that?
I think it's because of the synthetic ingredients that they're making up. Chemists, they are learning how to be drug dealers, how they can cheapen the actual product so they can make more profit. And if they say, hey, well, we can't take everything that's natural because it's not capable of giving it to every single life that's out there that needs it, why don't we make it synthetically? And they make mistakes. They make a lot of mistakes. So a lot of these ingredients, after about 10 to 15 years that are in the market, we find that they're actually harmful to our bodies and also to the environment.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the products that you have at H2 Ocean are for everyday use, but you have some products that it just really blew my mind what you're able to do with cancer patients.
Yes. I mean, cancer patients are suffering from an immune deficiency, especially in their body, needs the immune system to break down some of these, cells that are dangerous for our body's health. So when you're not building up an immune system and you're tearing it down with all these drugs, how do you build it back up? So like my mouthwash and even just the first aid sprays and everything seem to actually heal people very fast. And I know it because it's studied now in, universities. It's been published in medical journals.
Yeah.
And just using it myself and being an ocean advocate, being involved of being surfing, diving, we've seen these cuts heal up very fast. But you never want to go into a dirty ocean. So that's why we had to reconstitute it, sterilize it, make sure that everything's clean, because you don't want it to go bad on the shelf when you don't want anybody to actually get any kind of harmful ingredients or microbes that might cause harm to the humans.
Yeah, this is really interesting because H2 Ocean, you have these products that are alternative health, new health, but you're actually working with doctors and helping doctors.
Yes, absolutely. We're also finding out these doctors that are big in seminars where they're talking about, how they're drugs are affecting, patients, and they're doing tests. So we're trying to find the best doctors out there that can actually get this word out there, and show that there is an alternative, which everyone is looking forward to now. I mean, 25 years ago, when I started talking about natural products to a doctor, they wouldn't touch it.
No.
It's not published. It's something that they didn't learn. They don't want to lose their license, so they just blow it off.
Yeah.
And what I thought is, there's things in the natural that can also kill you.
That's
so we have to be careful of what we're putting in our bodies, natural or unnatural.
Yeah.
And what I always thought of, making sure somebody's got no allergic reactions, no reactions to, bacteria that might cause infections. And that's what I've done. I just pretty much made a whole line of products. Now we got about 40 different SKUs that are there helping people heal faster.
Now, when you first started, you started with products for tattoos, people that are just getting a tattoo, and body piercing. And when people in the past, before you came along, get tattoos or body piercing, how do they take care of the area as opposed to what you're offering with H2 Ocean?
Well, I mean, speaking to these legends of tattoo, they've been around, tattooing for 50 years or 40 years. I asked them what they were using, and I wanted to make an alternative to what they were using. And it was just luck that I got into that marketplace, because the medical field did not want to touch any of my products. But they had nothing. So I was the very first body piercing aftercare in the world. And I had found the biggest name in body piercing. And he did a test on, different body parts, same techniques. And he said mine healed it up super fast. And he was really amazed on it. So that was the start of the company, H2 Ocean. And we ended up going into the tattoo world, and we asked, they were using petroleum-based, Vaseline, in the skin, where they're puncturing the skin, and it's getting down into the dermal layers. But actually, some of that stuff is getting also with the ink. But it's now developed into more, self-regulated, with products that are getting into the marketplace that are seeming to get more natural, more safe. But they also use terms like vegan. What is vegan? Vegan doesn't mean that it's safe.
Yeah.
The biggest vegan out there in the world was Steve Jobs, and he died of cancer.
That's right.
So
that's right.
It's really about the safety of the ingredients and where you source the ingredients from.
Now, another product that you have a hair care product that actually helps, it helps doctors and it helps patients too that have had hair transplants.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of these doctors, they're only able to put in these follicles and as much as the body can take, and they kind of like don't want the patient to tap out and they don't finish the procedure. But with the sea salt sprays, the lidocaine products that we have, which is FDA approved too as well, will help them get through their procedures, but also keep the body from going into shock. And shock is not good. Stress in the body actually makes your health go bad, and then the healing is actually not so great either. So that's important. I've been also showing them that there's, skin conditions that they might be going through, like, dermatitis and stuff like that, or poor scalp care. So we're putting products together that are actually going to be healthy for the scalp and give it nutrients that we need.
It's interesting what you're doing with H2 Ocean, because a lot of times, and maybe most of the time, when it comes to alternative health, anything, people are saying, do this instead of going to a doctor. What you're actually doing is helping doctors, which is, I've never heard that before in the alternative health area.
Prevention and aftercare.
Yeah.
Let the doctors do what they've learned, but if you try to change what they have already learned, it's impossible. So I'm not against the doctor's decision to use certain drugs that have been researched. I just want to help them on the procedure side for preparing the skin,
Yes.
preparing for the procedures, and the aftercare, which they forget about. And they're also sending a lot of patients out to these drugstores that are really not made for what they're actually,
Yeah.
trying to heal the proper way.
Well, being in Florida, there's nothing that people have a problem with more than sunburns. Do you at H2 Ocean have anything that can help people with that?
We created a product. I came from the sunscreen industry before I created H2 Ocean. I don't want to say the name, but it was one of the major brands. And that's what developed me into making something that is safe, because there's a lot of sunscreens out there that have 20 or 30 ingredients on there that you can't even read.
Yeah.
We want to minimize the ingredient list on there and make it special to where it's not toxic to the skin, and you could use it on your face, all over. It's called Surfer's Choice. It's a SPF 50. We plan on expanding that line into some creams and stuff like that, but it's a nice spray that you could spray on.
Oh, that's perfect. That's my favorite kind.
Yeah, the sprays are really good because they can cover a lot of area, but it's reef safe.
Yeah.
With it being reef safe, there's a word, there's a lot of people that say it's reef safe, but if it's got 20 or 30 ingredients in there, guaranteed, maybe their active ingredients are reef safe because they're mineral based, but even high amounts of zinc, which everyone thinks that white stuff that stays on your skin really good is protecting you. Well, zinc is also used on the bottom of the boats to actually keep microbiology, microbes, barnacles, and algae off of your boat.
Yeah.
And those are important to our reef system. So heavy amounts of zinc just on a little area of your body could be toxic too. So the levels of every ingredient should be really researched. So we made a reef safe sunscreen out there. We're going to continue to develop more on that too as well. But it does take a lot to get these tests done, and
Sure.
we sponsor some of the surfers out there, a pro surfer, Gnarly Charlie, who got bit by a shark, used our first aid spray during a shark bite. He was featured on Shark Week.
Oh.
I'm surrounded by National Geographics, divers. They're all using our products. They love it because when they go on vacation or they go on these long trips out on the ocean, you can really get burned. And they don't come back complaining that my product doesn't work.
And if surfers are using it, it stays on in the water.
Right. It stays on the water, but it should be reapplied after 80 minutes. Some people say 90 minutes, but we actually like to, under promise and over deliver, and that's the way it should be with all the products that are out there.
Now, people that are watching us, and we're talking about all these great products you have at H2 Ocean, if they wanted to get started, what's the one product you'd say, start with this?
Okay. I think our mouthwash will be outselling any other mouthwashes out there. Why? Because the mouthwashes out there that are using alcohols, that are using dyes, those are marketing tactics to get you to believe that you're doing something.
Yeah.
The burning sensation. The burning sensation is not good for the body. That's stinging and burning some kind of good bacteria. And now they're also doing microbes testing. Those microbes, the good microbes, are really needed for our bodies. So our mouthwash is clean of all that. We've always been clean of all that, and we've used it. Oral health is basically your number one place where bacteria is entered into our delicate cells of our body.
That's right.
So we need to have an immune system built up in our mouth. I believe that that's going to help a lot of people with their health issues. It's safe to swallow. We've been swallowing it every single day. I haven't gotten sick in a long time, but even if we had some food poisoning and something just giving you an upset stomach, I'd swallow it, and 30 seconds later, I'm ready to go back to bed. There's no running to the bathroom breaks and throwing up and coming out at both ends anymore. Many of our employees said, "Oh, I can't come in. must have eaten something bad."
Yeah.
And I tell them, drink like a half a cup of my mouthwash. See what happens.
Oh.
They show up in the morning and they're like, "Man, that worked."
Yeah.
So there's a lot of benefits of it inside use, not just topically on your skin. And that would be the number one thing I think should start off with. But also our first aid spray, our first aid spray that we promoted for piercing aftercare spray. Now it comes in a first aid spray bottle too. Gets rid of insect bites immediately, just gets rid of the itching and the burning sensation.
Oh, so every parent should have this.
Every parent should have it. And there's no need to put alcohol or hydrogen peroxide that burns the skin, and kids, once they get that little sensation, they're like, no, don't put that on it.
Yes.
Don't put that on it. Please don't. Whereas this calms the skin, and calming is when our bodies are repairing, during sleep. So why not calm the skin with some good minerals and some good enzymes that our body produces? Lysozyme is one of the first antibiotics ever invented by Alexander Fleming. Mm-hmm. He threw that research away. I brought that back. That's the first peptide back 25 years ago that I started getting into these peptides that you hear about peptides. Mm-hmm. And lysozyme is a peptide. It's something that we can mix, and you don't want to mix it in alcohols. You want to mix it in salt water where it lives.
Sure.
So it actually strengthened up the lysozyme and works really well for just all types of wounds, skincare.
Where can people go to get the H2 Ocean products?
Well, we're big on Amazon, bestsellers all across, but the h2ocean.com, we can deliver it within a day or two too as well, just as fast. We have to compete with Amazon, but h2ocean.com, we have a lot of blogs on there. We have a lot of news. You should follow h2ocean.com because we have some more news coming out. Like, I still am an inventor. So I have some ideas that are coming out that we want to put these new products out there that's going to benefit the whole family.
Well, one thing that you're working on is something that I can't believe is not already a thing, especially here in the state of Florida, but you're looking to bring it nationally, and that's National Ecosystems Awareness Day. Can you talk a little bit about that and the importance of it?
So ecosystem is basically about balance. If your body's off balance, we're an ecosystem too. Or if the land or the soils are off balance, there's always something like, a mineral deficiency. Or if it's too much, it becomes toxic. Mm-hmm. So you have to have that balance. And either if you do not have that balance for our own immune system, or even plants or animals out there, they become weak and they get diseased, or their healing is not properly healed the right way, and that's what ecosystems are very important to, not just Florida's environment, but our own bodies, and also the whole world works as an ecosystem. This earth is an ecosystem itself. We don't want to destroy ecosystems, so ecosystems are very important for all of life.
Mm-hmm. And on the side of your building, you have what really is going to end up being a landmark here in the state of Florida, not just in the community, this incredible mural that walks you through the entire history of the state of Florida. It looks like something out of a natural history museum.
Absolutely. I mean, we started off by promoting this Project Blue Green. Blue is a lot bigger than the green. Everybody went green. But what is green? Green, even if we burned off every tree, you got to thank the ocean for every oxygen and gas that we actually need and all the minerals. So I think the blue is also our skies, is the most powerful, color or even, environment that we got to protect. Our air quality and our water quality. So Project Blue Green was developed, and I had this building painted blue-green. So when you see it, it's blue-green. On the back, I just started getting this itch. I need to do some kind of mural on the back of it because we're right here on Florida Turnpike. And I said, the idea of this is to protect the endangered species, both land and animals. So one side of it is marine life, the other side is the land animals. The ones that we lost too as well, that would be so exciting for kids to see, or just, what they look like. So we put a bunch of animals and marine life on the back of our building with a great artist, a friend of mine, Jex, who is one of the most realism artists out there, using just spray paint, graffiti art, and just did these super realism kind of portraits.
And by the way, that's spray paint out of cans, not an airbrush.
Right out of a spray paint can.
It's amazing. It may be the largest Instagram wall in America.
I think it is. I believe by one artist, definitely in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So in the state of Florida, but also even the time that he did it in less than 3 weeks by himself.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Eddie, good to meet you, and thanks for all the information.
Yep.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you.